getting hot, everybody showing love. It's hotter than the summer sun. Shades on, hands up, we're about to get it on.
The big, the bad, and the bold is the most powerful walk in the globe. Taking the cake, breaking the mold. Legends and warriors go toe to toe. It's getting hot, raise up the temperature. So hot, the fire is burning up. Heat wave, nobody's safe. Tonight is the night, today is the day. Come on and get ready, the time is right now. Shake up the place from the roar of the crowd. We on the way, no stopping us now. We're going crazy and we're going wild. Come on, we gon' show the world what the summer lights. Letting off steam on a summer night. Gather up the gang and enjoy your life. It's a party going down. Everybody sing it loud now.
Summer, it's getting hot. Everybody showing love. It's hotter than the summer sun. Shades on, hands up. We're about to get it on.
Ain't seen nothing like summer out here. I've been waiting all year. Yeah, look at my eyes, there's nothing I hear. I know the time is here. This for the champions, for the gladiators, forever young. Feel the heat from the rising sun. Let shine down on us. Get knocked down, get back up. This my town, my city, yes sir. We get out, get lit, get tough. Ain't nobody gonna do it like us. We gon' show the world what the summer lights. Letting off steam on the summer nights. Gather up the gang and enjoy your life. It's a party going down. Everybody sing it loud now.
Summer, it's getting hot. Everybody showing love. It's hotter than the summer sun. Shades on, hands up. We're about to get it on.
Welcome everybody back to Tiger Talks Wrestling. I am your host Tony, joined today by good friend John. Welcome into the show, man.
What's up? How's it going?
Going pretty good. How about you?
Doing good.
It's officially SummerSlam Saturday.
Oh yeah.
We can go wrong here.
The biggest show of the summer.
Oh yeah. It's very unusual unheard of even, for SummerSlam to be the end of July instead of the middle of August. But hey, we're rolling with
very true.
Definitely between that and the fact that it's on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, but works either way. A lot of interesting things we want to go over, not just SummerSlam wise, but definitely SummerSlam wise. First things first, though, one thing we got to talk about, and we'll see if Buster Boy joins in or not. He's supposed to be eventually here, but Vincent Kennedy McMahon, no longer the chairman of the WWE, no longer involved with WWE, as he has retired because of allegations against him of hush money from affairs that may or may not have happened. What was your thinking when you seen the news of Vince McMahon last Friday, 8 days ago, announcing his retirement from WWE?
I mean, after you started seeing like the whole allegations come out, you kind of knew it was just a matter of time before he was going to step down. Whether or not it's permanently stepping down, we'll see eventually. But
right,
with how ratings and that are going, I think it's kind of a good thing he stepped down. But it could go either way on it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, turn that down. There we go. So I know I'm keeping that live. I was definitely, like you said, it was kind of, you had to figure something would happen once all the allegations started coming, even though he kind of just played it off at first, like it was water under the bridge, so to speak. But the more and more allegations that kept coming out, you had to figure something was going to happen, something needed to happen, because he didn't want to lose all of the revenue and all of the ad placements and everything else from that WWE gets, because if it comes out true that Vince has been using this money, and it's not just his money from what I've seen, it's money that he's pulled out of WWE to use for it. So
it's the old XFL budget?
What's that?
It's the old extreme football budget?
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting to see where Vince goes from here. You mentioned whether or not it'll be permanent. That is tough to say, but I kind of feel like in the long run it's going to have to be, especially depending on how far along this goes. If everything gets dropped, then I could see him possibly returning, but I don't think this is too big of a deal to just get dropped and not see more come from it. So,
Right.
on the flip side, we now know Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan are co-CEOs. Stephanie is the chairwoman of WWE, and Triple H is now in charge of booking and talent relations as well.
So wait a minute. Does that mean that WWE and AEW both have a Khan high up?
They technically do, but there is no relation between Tony and Nick.
I think we need proof on that.
Perhaps, but that's what I've read. There's no relation between those two men. One's white and one's kind of, I don't know if you want to call him Spanish or what you want to call Tony, but
Tony's just Tony.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how Hunter takes over the booking role for that matter, and having all these new responsibilities after coming off of his heart attack last year. Hopefully it doesn't end up being too much. From what I've read, NXT might go back to a little bit similar of a black and gold brand version than what it has been the last several months under Vince's.
You mean back when it was good?
I know, right? Yes. A lot of things seem like they're in the process of changing. Triple H has some things that he plans on doing that are supposed to be big for his first premium live event tonight for SummerSlam, which we'll dive into some of those things later.
Oh, yeah.
It's just unusual. This is a big thing happening in WWE and something that I don't think anybody's seen coming at this point in time, really. But unseen circumstances have forced their hand pretty much to make all these changes. I'm kind of interested. They probably won't ever say, but I'm kind of interested in who the women are that are coming forward with these allegations. So.
Sable.
You know, I wouldn't be too surprised, to be honest with you.
Trish Stratus.
But the thing is, if it's Sable, though, with who Sable is married to.
F5 Fever.
I know. That just seems like an odd placement to me if it was her. But who knows? I just got rid of that. I don't know what it was. All right. There's a lot of stuff we can go over. We'll mention more about that. Did he even see the tweet, the message yet? I'm trying to delay getting into the matches here for a second, but we're going to dive in sooner than later. I have heard that after this past week's training camp, so to speak, that they've had in Nashville, they are looking at the last NIL Next in Line show that they did. There was a lot of injuries, a lot of concussions and stuff to these new kids, and they're looking to perhaps move away from that, so as to speak, and start bringing in more of the indie wrestlers again, too, unlike what Vince wanted.
Well, that means I got no hope.
Huh?
That means I got no hope of becoming a WWE superstar. Right?
You never know. It doesn't mean they're not going to pull any in altogether, just anytime soon. No, just as
let's be realistic. I'm going to be the next Pat McAfee.
Funny you should mention that.
I know, right?
Considering that was next on mine.
Around.
Yeah. That was the first match I was planning on bringing up.
Battle of the Colts.
Oh, yeah. Battle of the former teammates here. Yeah, good old Pat McAfee, the SmackDown announcer, going one-on-one with Happy Corbin. First things first for this, it's Pat's first match since WrestleMania. Happy Corbin's had a few since WrestleMania, but not that many, to be honest. Not enough, huh?
Nothing
But
memorable.
right, well, he's lost multiple times to Madcap Moss. There's that.
Well, other than that, nothing memorable.
It's been a unique build towards this feud, though. The fact that Madcap will end the last laugh match, why the hell they even called it that instead of just calling it a no disqualification match when that's all that it was? I have no clue. Happy getting mad at Pat after that, and we go from there, finding out. I think everybody pretty much knew already that these two used to be teammates before they even brought it up in the feud. Whether or not you knew that they shared a room, they were roommates at that time too. I don't know about that, but knew they both came from NFL backgrounds anyway. After what we've seen this last night on SmackDown, it'll be interesting to see how much cool Pat McAfee will have after getting a low blow by Happy Corbin last night. Got kicked right in the nuts. Don't know if you've seen that or not. What he did. Either way, bum-ass Corbin, I think, is going to be getting his butt kicked, and I think Pat McAfee is walking out with the victory here.
Oh, it's 4th and long, and McAfee's punting to win. Had to do the football reference.
Yeah, yep, that is a football reference. Pat looked really good, I felt like, in his match against Theory at WrestleMania. In my opinion, Pat's looked pretty good in all of his matches, really, that he's had between NXT and WWE so far, other than the match with Vince wasn't the greatest, but Vince is also 76 years old and can't do a whole lot.
Right.
Never has. But there's one person in the live chat section. I don't know if that's just me watching and puts me there, but if anybody's watching and wants to, leave your predictions in the comment section as well as we go along here. We'd like to hear them and give them. Reminder, SummerSlam does start in just under 2.5 hours, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Kickoff shows at 7. Not that I know of any matches there. That's why we jumped right into the show instead of going with the pre-show, kickoff show. They got 8 matches scheduled for SummerSlam. There probably will be at least 9, which we'll dive into that in a little bit here as well.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Huh. But yeah, this match, I don't know that it'll be the opening match, but I think it would be a decent opening match between these two. And that gets Pat back on the commentary table pretty quick too. So
I think it'll be the first SmackDown match.
Yeah, that I could agree with. That. So let's delete that one. And we go from that one. Whether or not SmackDown starts the show or not, we shall see. Oops. I gotta find the next one. There it is.
I predict it's going to be Raw starting the show.
You think so?
Yes.
I'm sure you'll tell me which match when we get to it.
Oh, you know I will.
Why do I keep doing that? Here's the next match that we'll talk about. So, wow, I can tell this is going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The former tag team partners at WrestleMania this year now turned bitter enemies, as you got the A-lister, The Miz, who will have Tommaso Ciampa in his corner, from what I've seen, even though they don't show it in the picture there, versus the new WWE superstar, newly signed WWE superstar, Logan Paul. Take it away, John.
Okay, so we know that Ciampa's going to be in the corner of the pathetic Miz. But we don't know what's going on with Logan. How about could this where we see Jake Paul make a debut in WWE in Logan's corner?
Possibly. I wouldn't bet on it, but possibly.
I wouldn't bet on it either. But I feel like with all the crap that's gone down the last couple of weeks, It's going to be a Miz-tastrophe for the Miz. Logan Paul's coming away with this win.
So I had seen rumors at one point, and they did have a little interaction on Raw Monday night, that at one time they were thinking of changing this into a tag team match. Now, it could be a last second change, you never know. But the one person I could see being out there with Logan Paul, whether it be a tag team match or perhaps just to watch his back, somebody who he had a conversation with backstage on Raw Monday night, none other than the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. AJ told Logan that he had his respect, so I could see AJ coming out there kind of trying to keep Ciampa out of getting involved. But it'll be interesting to see how Logan Paul adapts to his first singles match in WWE, because as we know, his only match was that tag team match at WrestleMania.
Correct.
So we shall see how things evolve, so as to speak, as Logan climbs into the deep waters of singles action by himself. And he has signed a long-term contract with WWE from what it looks like. So whether people like it or not, you're going to be seeing Logan Paul's face on WWE programming for quite some time, it sounds like.
I think he's got some interesting mic skills. I will say that.
He does, but I think I kind of have to agree with a lot of people that I see on Twitter. His way of speaking, so as to speak, and things that he was saying on Raw this past week, he kind of should be more so in that heel role more than a babyface role. But
yeah,
Logan's got his own.
Out of the Paul brothers, who would make the best babyface?
Probably Logan over Jake. But
yeah, 100% on that one.
I mean, Jake Paul has mentioned on, I think it was Instagram, that he does want to come to WWE eventually and perhaps become tag team champion with his brother. So you never know. You could have a little point there with Jake Paul perhaps showing up and helping out his brother.
Maybe another boxer might show up in his corner.
Yeah, you never know. We've seen
I've
boxers.
seen a lot of mentions of Tyson Fury on Twitter.
That's true. There has been talks of Fury perhaps coming back to WWE. So,
yep. And
the next premium live event is Clash at the Castle in UK, where Tyson Fury is from as well. So you can never know.
Right.
We could get something like that. But yeah, I went around it. But I do believe Logan Paul. If this stays a singles match, I got Logan Paul winning. If it changes into a tag team match, I think Logan Paul and AJ will win. But either way, I feel Logan Paul is getting a win here.
Oh, yeah.
Because Miz has gotten too much of the upper hand in this rivalry leading up to the match. It was interesting. Maybe I shouldn't even bring it up. I'm going to. The purse that Maurice had on Raw this past Monday night, though. And the whole feud being kind of revolving around Miz's balls, if you will. Tiny balls, but yet the purse looked like big balls. Okay. They made a t-shirt out of it, too.
I'll have to consider getting that one.
Just the same exact t-shirt as what it used to have that says, I'm awesome, or whatever. I'm the Miz, I'm awesome on it, but it just says, I've got big balls or something that. Alrighty then.
Man, that sounds like a ripoff of Heath Slater. I got kids.
Right? But anyway, both got Logan Paul winning there. If Busta Boy jumps in, we'll get his predictions on these matches after we'll get back to him. Well, that's why I shouldn't delete them probably. All right. I'll delete that one then. So, I'm going to go away from that page for a minute. Been some interesting things happening across all of WWE, really, counting NXT and NXT UK as well. I want to go, though, to this. Here we go. So I don't have a match card for the next thing we're talking about, but it's got something even better. Maybe. Now, I would try and show some things leading up to these matches, which I probably could do off of WWE.com, but when I did it from YouTube back at Royal Rumble, they kind of had a fit, and my Royal Rumble prediction show's not up anymore. So this guy's got an interesting night coming tonight, I have a feeling. As we know,
yeah.
Originally, it was supposed to be Seth freaking Rollins going one-on-one with Riddle, one half of RK Bro. However, this past Monday night on Raw, Riddle first lost the six-man tag match to Roman Reigns and the Usos of the Bloodline, when he got speared by Roman. After the match, though, Seth freaking Rollins came out and beat up Riddle, including a stomp, curb stomp, whether you want to call it that or not is up to you, but I'm going to curb stomp on the steps, which supposedly injured him. I'm not even going to go over what they claim the injury is because I'm not looking it up. But taking medically disqualifying Riddle from being in this match. However, once that news came out the other day on social media, Seth freaking Rollins would go on social media and say, hey, I'm hearing you guys singing my song. Maybe someday they will as well. To which Triple H responds, I hear you. Which has led to many speculations and many rumors that Seth freaking Rollins will still be in a match tonight at SummerSlam. Now the question is, who will be the opponent? Now, there's been a lot of people rumored to potentially be an opponent for Seth freaking Rollins here. I'll go over a few of them. There's been rumors of perhaps a John Cena appearance versus Seth Rollins tonight.
Boo.
There's been rumors of maybe perhaps a returning rated R superstar Edge coming in and facing Seth freaking Rollins.
That would be good.
Yes and no. We've seen it a few times over the last year. But there's also rumors of perhaps another superstar returning who hasn't been in WWE for a little over a year now. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, perhaps returning at SummerSlam and facing Seth freaking Rollins. I don't think that'll happen, but hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened. The one person that's most intriguing to me, though, is a man who had quite success in NXT, and a man who I'm pretty sure you're thinking the same I am. Seth freaking Rollins, perhaps tonight going one-on-one with none other than Johnny
Gargano.
Wrestling. Johnny Gargano. Who wouldn't want to see it? I mean, why would you want to see it?
I mean, that's really a good setup. I mean, they both can be great technicians, and I think together they put on one hell of a show.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like those two men, if that's what Hunter books, because Hunter's in charge and he's wanting to do big things, this would be something huge to see. I mean, it's been many months, about 7 or 8 months, I think, since we've seen Johnny wrestling in WWE and NXT at that point. But Johnny Gargano was along with many others who at one point said, well, Vince McMahon was in charge. He didn't really want to leave NXT. Well, Vince McMahon's no longer in charge. So what better time than now for Johnny Gargano to lace up those boots again and come into a WWE ring with perhaps one of the greatest of the current era, Seth freaking Rollins. Just look at the matches he's had with Cody Rhodes, who returned from AEW, of course. Different Cody and Johnny, two different guys, but still, we know the match type that you'd get would be kind of similar between Johnny and Seth, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
Now, one thing to take away from it, to mention, Seth freaking Rollins does have the most losses in WWE this year, which is kind of sad, but yeah, it just shows how resilient, I guess, in a way you could say Seth is, because he's still one of the most talked about superstars in WWE, even with all the losses this year. So losses can hurt a superstar, but they can also, in a way, not matter so much, I guess you could say, or help them perhaps.
Right.
It's how the guy or girl kind of portrays themselves and how they can evolve a feud or elevate a feud or rivalry or another person for that matter. And Seth freaking Rollins has done that everywhere he's gone pretty much this year. I mean, you might talk about all the losses Seth has, but he has one very important win this year as well. He is the only man in the last 2 years, really, that has a victory over Roman Reigns. So
That was the best entrance ever.
I know, right?
Oh,
Back at Royal Rumble, it might have been by disqualification, but still, he has a victory over Roman Reigns. So,
and if I remember correctly, on the Royal Rumble prediction show, you're the only one that got that one right.
I do believe so. Now, I was partially wrong because I thought Seth would win the Universal title, but
Right.
still, I'll take the win. All right. But if we get Seth and Johnny, I feel like another loss here won't hurt Seth, as mentioned. I feel like if Johnny's coming back into the fold, they have to have him pick up the win to move forward as part of Raw going forward, I would imagine, at that point.
You want to know what would be cool to see down the line?
What's that?
Seth and Becky versus Johnny and Candice.
Ooh, that would be good. That would be really good. I'd pay to see it.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Oh, we got a few people in the comment. They're in the live chat, but nobody's saying anything. So, mind you, just give us your predictions as we go along here if you're interested. All right. Move on. It should be a big night in some way, shape, or form for Seth and whoever he ends up facing, as long as there is a match, because you never know if it'll be a full match or not. But,
the debut of Dexter Lumis.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, but hey, you never know. I won't put anything past Triple H. Put it that way.
Is this where we see MJF?
I doubt it. I don't think he's
too.
going anywhere anytime soon. But I will mention AEW doesn't seem to be missing him as he's been gone for a couple months now. But
how do you feel about Gresham?
that is an interesting question. I think we'll dive into that a little bit more towards the end of the show. If you bring
Sounds
it up
like
again.
a fair question. Yeah, sounds good.
We'll talk about other things outside of WWE at the end of the show. Next, we got the United States Championship rematch. As you got Mr. Money.
This is going to be the opener.
Now you think it's going to be the opener? Yeah, it could very well be. I mean, with what Theory could end up doing by the end of the night.
Yep.
You never know. But Mr. Money in the Bank Theory going one-on-one with the United States champion, the almighty Bobby Lashley, in a rematch from, of course, Money in the Bank. They had a pretty good match, I felt like, at Money in the Bank. More so, I wasn't expecting it to be as good as what it turned out to be. Let's put it that way. Not to take anything away from either one of these two guys, but it was the first time they'd really been in the ring one-on-one. I mean, technically, they were in there one-on-one during the gauntlet match a couple weeks before on Raw, before Money in the Bank, but that was such a quick little pinfall victory, pretty much, for Lashley to earn the U.S. title match. So I don't really count that. They had a good showing against each other. I feel like tonight will be another really good match between these two guys. When it's all said and done, though, I feel like Bobby Lashley just started this reign. Bobby Lashley is not losing that title. He's going to keep it and keep running through Raw as the United States champion.
Until he loses it to Logan Paul.
Maybe. You never know.
Just the gut feeling.
But yeah, it should be another good match anyways between these two.
For sure.
That's interesting. I didn't even realize that at first. Yeah, live A-Town all day. Almighty. Nice. In the background behind the pictures. Different things on the buildings.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah. I kind of thought I seen something similar to that with the Logan Paul Miz one, but it's pretty nice. So you got any other take on this besides it sounds like you got Lashley winning too?
Oh, I got Lashley winning. But I got Lashley beating the crap out of Theory so bad that Theory's got to disappear for an hour or two if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I get your drift.
All right.
So I want to mention one little rumor here, though, that I had seen. What would you think if Lashley wins this match, but Theory then, after the match, decides to cash in his Money in the Bank on Lashley instead of waiting and use it later in the night?
As much as I hate Theory, I don't think he's that stupid.
Well, you wouldn't think so, but
he's going to go after something much more unobtainable. And with all the super kicks he's been getting lately, if he doesn't go for that and put the briefcase out there, I'll be kind of shocked.
I get your drift. All right. I mean, that'd be interesting. I mean, it'd be a first time ever that somebody cashed in on a mid-card champion instead of a world champion, but they have claimed any champion can be cashed in on.
He's gonna cash in on the Usos for the tag team championship.
Oh yeah, sure. Him and who?
Well, Vince is out, so he needs to get a new partner.
Yeah. All right. Let me check that again real quick before we go in. What I got next? That time match. In a way, I kind of did this that way on purpose, and in a way, I didn't. But Raw, SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown. Yeah, I'm happy that SmackDown's actually got a few matches on this show, unlike not Money in the Bank, which the event before that Pat didn't show up at because they only had one SmackDown match.
Which really made no sense to be there anyways.
Right. What a slacker. He's not even paying attention to his Twitter. Shame on him. All right. Moving on.
Ooh.
Buster Boy. Still haven't seen the post.
I wonder if he's streaming right now.
I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. I hit a wrong button. There we go. That's better. And up next, we got the SmackDown Women's Championship match, a rematch, also from technically from Money in the Bank, but quite a bit different here. Ronda Rousey, the baddest woman on the planet, going one-on-one with Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Liv baddest. Nice. I like that. It's interesting to see these things in the background here. Go ahead and give me your take on this one first.
Oh yeah, this just because Liv's in it, I go first, right?
Yep. Let's see. Watch me live forever.
This Cinderella story is not ending tonight. Liv is gonna win, whether it be a returning superstar interfering, like I don't know, a Charlotte Flair or something. But I feel like something's gonna cause Ronda to get distracted, and Liv is gonna pick up the win.
It's fair.
Maybe even a returning Bailey.
Take the wind out of my sails, why don't you?
You're welcome.
Thanks. So I got to point out one little thing, not just because it's that same title, but what happened last year at SummerSlam when the SmackDown Women's title match?
A superstar came back and won it in 27 seconds.
26. But still, the point being, Carmella was originally the scheduled opponent for Bianca Belair at SummerSlam. She got taken out. Becky took her spot. Becky won the title from Bianca.
Right.
Who's to say something doesn't somehow happen to Ronda backstage, and then Ronda has to be replaced in this match by said returning superstar?
Ding dong.
Hello. But I'm just fantasy booking here, obviously, because you never.
Right.
But still, if something like that happens, I could see Liv losing the title. If we get actually Ronda versus Liv, there's been rumors of potentially a transitional champion. I, in a way, though, kind of feel like Ronda wouldn't necessarily want to take the title back right away because she supposedly never asked to be champion.
Right.
From the reports I've read. I'm going to agree with you here. I think Liv somehow retains the SmackDown Women's title here.
The Cinderella story continues.
Because I feel like Stephanie and Hunter are going to want to keep the title on Liv and keep kind of pushing her, so as to speak. I mentioned last night, I was watching Rampage after SmackDown went off the air. Whoever would have thought, looking back a few years ago to the Riot Squad, that Liv Morgan would be a world champion before Ruby Riot, a.k.a. Ruby Soho nowadays.
Yeah, because no one really took Liv Morgan seriously. I mean, she had the bubblegum pink hair, acting like a sociopath.
Yep.
Now look at her. She's like one of the most talked about wrestlers in WWE.
She is. I'd agree.
She's the main underdog right now, and she's on top where she should be.
Yep. The interesting point to also bring up from talking about SmackDown from last night, these two were, of course, in that tag team match against Natalya and Sonya Deville. Liv Morgan spent a lot of time in that ring and kind of kept trying to prove that she could win it by herself, but wasn't able to. She had to eventually tag out to Ronda. Well, Ronda tagged herself in, but still. And in the end, you see oblivion to Natalya, the armbar, of course, or the ankle lock, rather, for the victory on Sonya. So Ronda will still look good in this match, but Liv's got to be the one to retain as far as we're both concerned. Yeah. Because Ronda's not going anywhere anytime soon, I have a feeling. So. But I definitely would love to see either during this match or afterwards the return of Bayley more so than Charlotte, because I could care less about Charlotte, to be honest. But Bayley's just been way too long since she's been in WWE, and they need to do something with her. Hey, you never know. There's been talks that with Vince out of the picture too, that Triple H and Stephanie and Nick have been wanting to talk with Sasha and Naomi about coming back too. So there's that as well.
Well, as much as I want to see Bayley be the returning star in this scenario, I don't think it's going to be her.
Oh. You got two baby faces technically in this match, so I could see a heel coming out during or after it. Oh, wait. Kind of back talk there, aren't we? Talking about stuff you're not supposed to.
Whoops.
All right. We'll see. Moving along. That's right there. So, next match. Go over that. This one's going to be a little intriguing to me. Because I feel like there's going to be another return during or before this match begins.
Oh, since the moment this was announced, I had my predictions set.
So, the match being, of course, Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley back in the fold now. Currently scheduled to face both Rey and Dominic Mysterio, but not in just a regular tag team match, and no disqualification tag team match. I want to dive into that a little bit, though. This past Monday on Raw, we celebrated in Madison Square Garden the 20-year anniversary of Rey Mysterio in WWE. During the celebration, though, backstage, Rey Mysterio took quite the ass kicking and got put through a table.
I mean, not quite. He took a literal ass kicking.
That he did. Dragged around. Rhea Ripley getting involved. Aaliyah getting a little bit pushy with Rhea. Perhaps Aaliyah gets involved in the storyline at some point and maybe gets into a match too. Who knows? There was talk about her being a wrestler at one point. But anyway, I feel like what they could do here is end up being Judgment Day versus Dom, but not just Dom. I feel like Ray is probably going to be, they're going to say Ray can't compete. He's too hurt, too injured from the attack on Monday. Instead, we get Dominic Mysterio teaming up with a former tag team partner of Rey Mysterio, a man looking for some revenge himself, the rated R superstar Edge.
I mean, that is possible.
That's my thinking. If that happens, I got Edge and Dom picking up the win here. If not, if this match, even if this match goes down this way, I still think Ray and Dom win with Edge's help, with it being no disqualification.
I don't think they do. I keep saying it every time there's a tag match with these two. This will be the moment. They just celebrated Rey Mysterio. This will be the moment that Dom turns and joins Judgment Day.
Okay, that could happen. There's been talks of Dom potentially turning on Ray at some point in time, but it's been nixed before multiple times, it sounds like, too. So,
right.
Will they pull the trigger tonight? We'll find out.
I think they should, because I think Dom's still in that shadow of Rey Mysterio. I think Dom needs to do something big to kind of show that he's actually here for real.
Right. I mean, they did play it off a little bit that he supposedly would join the Judgment Day to save his dad a couple weeks ago, but he could actually fully turn and join the Judgment Day too. You never know. One little thing to take of interest, though, with the whole Edge situation, he originally was booked to be at Raw this past Monday, and then something happened that him and Beth both actually were supposed to be on Raw. Something traveling wise happened that they didn't make it. There's questions now, will they actually be at SummerSlam or not? It's not a foregone conclusion that they will be. If they do, then Edge somehow has to get involved either during or after this match, in my opinion. There's nowhere else that really makes sense for him to be booked on the show.
Right.
Since it was Finn and Damian that took him out. Unless they're going to just drop all that and have him move off into some other feud, which I don't see that happening. But hey, you never know. We are under a new regime, so.
Maybe instead of Edge being on the show, Beth Phoenix attacks Rhea Ripley.
That could happen. You never know. We shall see. Definitely interesting times with the new
wallet.
I know, right? That is very true. Very, very true. Oh, I didn't even realize that till just now. They should have updated that picture. But anyway, up next, we got the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships on the line. You got the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, going up against the year-plus reigning Tag Team Champions, SmackDown Tag Team Champions anyways, not undisputed Tag Team Champions. The Usos. Hell of a match these two teams had at Money in the Bank. One little thing to add on that they don't have in the picture here. Jeff Jarrett, yes, Jeff, Jarrett, Double J, is the special guest referee for this match. He ate a super kick last night on SmackDown. Jeff Jarrett did. Is that going to play into things at all? It's one question. Another question, Jeff kind of made it very apparent. He's not going to disqualify either one of these two tag teams for anything. He's just there to count the 1, 2, 3. So anything goes pretty much, it sounds like, in this tag team match. What do you got from that, John?
Well, there's no disqualification in the eyes of Jeff Jarrett. I mean, he knows a little something about that.
Right.
Could that mean we could be hearing more music that we're not expecting? Like, I don't know. The dumb bloodline jester, Sami Zayn's music go off?
Who knows? Maybe Sammy could get
I'm
involved.
sure he'll get involved at some point.
Yep.
I mean, as much as I would love to see with how the Street Profits been performing lately and all that, I would love to see him get this win, but I don't see it happening. I think the Usos will somehow retain.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I can see Sami Zayn getting involved. Some way, shape, or form. The honorary Usos helping out. I'm with you. I would love to see the Street Profits win here. There's something in me that says the Usos are retaining. They're keeping the tag titles. I'm not sure who's going to take it from them, but this tag team title reign's not ending tonight.
The Paul brothers.
Maybe. I'm hoping what rumors are out there don't happen, but it could potentially happen tonight that one of the two Street Profits turns on the other and splits up the Street Profits from this match.
Who do you think would be the one to turn if that was to happen?
That's a tough call because I've seen it both ways that it could happen. But I do agree with one thing I read. It would be a mistake if you have Montez Ford be the one to turn heel. I feel like he's got so much energy and so much charisma to him that the fans would just eat him up as a babyface, but they would not want to boo Montez Ford. I feel like Angelo Dawkins would have to be the one to turn here.
You mean when you say it shouldn't be Montez Ford, you mean Mr. Belair?
Yeah, sure, that too.
Would that make him Uncle Phil?
Wow. No. Straight up no. It wouldn't even make him Carlton for that matter.
I mean, that'd make Carlton cool, so yeah.
I know, that's why I said it wouldn't.
He's got to be DJ Jesse Jeff.
There you go. That would make a little more sense. But as much as I would love to see the Street Profits win here, I feel like Jeff is going to play a little bit of a role in here. He'll use his guitar on somebody more than likely, and one of the Usos probably on Jay after getting super kick from him. But when it's all said and done, I also agree Sami Zayn gets involved and helps out the Usos.
Ezekiel's going to get involved with his brother, Elias. Because him and Jay
Sure
have history.
Yeah, because that's possible.
Well, Ezekiel's going to fight his brother's battle. That's what's going to happen.
There you go. Elias and Jeff do have a history. We're moving right along. And here's the next match. The Raw Women's Championship match. A year in the making. Or a year rivalry, anyways. Big time Becky Lynch going one-on-one with Bianca Belair in a rematch from WrestleMania this year for the Raw Women's Championship. Just the title's on the other shoulder, if you will. Going in. Go ahead. What you got on this one?
So, I think Becky, beat her in 26 seconds last year. I think Becky's going to go for that pump handle slam or whatever.
Manhandle slam.
Slam move. Yeah, that thing. And I think it's going to get reversed. And let's just say Bianca wins in 25 seconds. And that's when I hear the ding-dong coming in and Bayley demanding a match now. And Bayley takes the title, your new Raw Women's Champion.
That's a bold prediction. It could happen. You never know. But I'm going to go a completely different way than you there. Because like I said, I got Bayley returning SmackDown title picture. I feel like they both said this is their comeback story. It is somebody's comeback story. I am a huge, big-time Becky Lynch fan, but I feel like Bianca Belair is walking out, still your Raw Women's Champion here. She beats Becky after a lengthy match. I don't feel like this one's going to end quick just because last year's SummerSlam did. They're both going to be expecting that, in my opinion. So, they'll put on a hell of a match, just like they had pretty much the match of the night at WrestleMania. And when it's all said and done, I just think that Bianca is going to continue to reign as Raw Women's Champion. Who's next after Becky? Maybe Charlotte jumps ship over to Raw, and Charlotte gets the next Raw Women's title match.
No. We gotta think blissful here.
Yeah, I would be fine with
Alexa's next in line.
She should be next in line. I mean, she hasn't lost a whole lot over the last couple of years. So. I'd be fine with Little Miss Bliss getting another title shot.
Oh, yeah.
Next. Either way, as much as I'd like to see Becky as a champion again, I just don't feel like she's walking out of SummerSlam with the gold this year. So they could. I mean, Becky and Alexa, we've seen it before. We could do it again just because the roles would be reversed this time. Becky the heel, Alexa the face. That could be interesting. But no, I still got Bianca retaining here.
Yeah.
And then that'll be the end of their feud, as it's been a year in the making.
Cowboy Brock.
Main event. To the match that is years in the making, huh? Yes, but no. The last time they claim that we'll see these two men go one-on-one, as it's last man standing for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. I forgot to put Universal on there. Shame on me. But anyway. Brock Lesnar, Cowboy Brock, if you will, versus Roman Reigns for the championship. Interesting things have taken place here. One, after Vince announced his retirement from WWE, Brock did leave the arena from SmackDown. They had to talk him back into coming back, which he had about a half hour after the show started, apparently, from what I've read. But we did see Brock last night on SmackDown as well. Things seem to be okay. Interesting to know, at the end of the show, Brock had a stare down with Drew McIntyre. Drew is, of course, next in line for the undisputed WWE Universal title match at Clash at the Castle. However, all that said and done, the smoke clears, this last man standing match is all over. I'm personally going with the tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, on God mode, retaining the gold and walking out as still undisputed WWE Universal Champion and into that 700-plus day reign as champ.
Really, huh?
Yeah.
Well, now that we're finally to this match.
It's the main event.
It's the main event. And just out of curiosity, when's the last time where it's been a big title match where Money in the Bank briefcase was, thrown in during the match?
Oh, you must be referring to WrestleMania a few years back.
When Seth Rollins, just stole the whole damn show.
That he did.
I feel like with Vince gone, his golden boy is going to have to do something huge, and he's going to go after getting his butt kicked by Lashley. He's going to do his little run around recovering bullcrap, and he's going to make an appearance. Well, Lesnar and Reigns are beating the crap out of each other, barely standing. And once the match is done, I'm saying Reigns will win. But this is where the thing is. Theory's cashing in, and he's going to do it in a way that Reigns won't see coming, just like, Rollins did. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at your new undisputed WWE champion, Theory.
Ah, you've come around, have you?
Yes, I have.
I recall a month ago, I was the only one predicting a future WWE champion in Theory.
I mean, it's not going to last long, but yeah.
But hey, as much as I don't think that he'll be cashing in tonight and walking out as champion, I do still see Theory as a future world champion, WWE Undisputed Universal Champion or whatever. My point would be partially made if he did walk out with titles tonight. So,
right.
I'd be all for it in the long run. I just don't feel like it's too predictable, in my opinion, for Theory to actually cash in and win it here tonight with all the talk about it possibly happening.
I know, but you got two giant behemoths. You really think it's that predictable that they'll do it and win?
They've just played it up too much that it could happen. So I feel like if it does happen, Theory's losing the match. That's my thinking on it. Somehow, some way.
We shall see tonight when it all in the dust settles. Who'll be holding that title up?
When SummerSlam is completely done and over, we will see who walks out as undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Whether it be Brock.
You know how much I hate saying it's going to be Theory, but yeah.
Or it could be Theory ending the show again, as he did at Money in the Bank, with his hand held high.
Right.
Just with 2 titles over his head this time, if he does, instead of a briefcase.
And then he'll lose them next month. Ew.
You already predicted he'll lose them to Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, huh?
Oh, yeah. Isn't the fight at the castle in overseas?
Yeah, it's over in the UK.
If you're really going to book him in a title match and have him lose?
They could.
I don't.
They talked about doing big things for Drew in front of crowds before, and he lost anyway. So
I know, but think about it, though. You put him against Theory, you're almost predicting a Drew win. Could you imagine a dirty roll up and Theory retains?
I know, right?
I mean, Triple H is the head of creative. It could happen.
Anything could happen. I honestly, though, I'd rather see Roman and Drew at Clash at the Castle because we've had that match once, pretty much. Well, we've had it a couple times, technically. At WrestleMania a couple years ago, and then at Survivor Series, not this past year, but the year before. They just never had a good build towards leading into the match, though, in my opinion. Because Roman was just coming back from injury when they had the WrestleMania match. And then the Survivor Series match was kind of a last-minute placement for Drew to be in it when he beat Randy a week before. So I've always wanted Drew and Roman in an actual feud.
Right. Wait a minute. I just realized something. For this whole Theory plan to work, the Street Profits or someone's got to take out the Usos.
It's true. They do. And Sammy.
That's not that hard, though.
I'm not saying it is, but you know, Sammy would be trying to help out Big Goose too. So
maybe AJ and Ezekiel will be a part of it.
We'll see. Anyway,
Theory's gonna get a brand new bodyguard in Omos.
Sure.
Because MVP would so allow that.
I mean, Theory did have some talks with Paul Heyman last night. You never know what that could have been about, too. So,
Heyman switching sides. Wish I'd seen that before. Oh, wait.
We have.
Multiple times in the same feud.
Well, Paul Heyman just goes where the title goes, don't you know?
I mean, he holds the titles more than his client.
Right? Anyway, I'm expecting big things tonight, as that's what Triple H supposedly wants to have happen as his first show. Big surprises, hopefully some returns, all that fun stuff. Should be a very fun SummerSlam anyways tonight. Whether people are looking forward to it or not, I feel like they should be. That's pretty much my final thinking on SummerSlam. But you asked me a question earlier we'll get back to. Go ahead. What was it again?
Well, ask my question again?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Gresham?
So Jonathan Gresham. So my thinking on this is, well, I got many thoughts on it, but Jonathan Gresham wanting out of Ring of Honor feels like he wasn't getting pretty much the push that he deserved, so as to speak. I have no idea how he can think that when he was the world champion, for one. The Ring of Honor world champion, but still. The fact that he was going to lose to Claudio, I almost said Cesaro, but Claudio anyway, that was something that Tony Khan had planned for months, is what it sounds like. So I guess in a way I kind of understand why he felt like he was getting shafted, so as to speak. But I almost feel like CM Punk's a little bit of a hypocrite, though, because he's never said anything about the whole Gresham and Big Swole comments about why they end up leaving AEW. But yeah, he was so gung-ho for Sasha and Naomi doing the same thing pretty much in WWE and walking away from Vince McMahon for the same reasons. So that's just I'm a huge Punk fan, but that's just my feelings on Punk's version.
That's not a good Punk moment.
Right. But Jonathan Gresham mentioning things about PWI ranking being one reason why he should be pushed higher up on the card is stupid, in my opinion. Nobody pays that much of attention to a freaking PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranking system, let alone any other thoughts that PWI has. That'd be like saying, hey, Jim Cornette likes me. You should push me because of that. Or, that's just a put out there. Say, hey, Dave Meltzer ranks me as a number 5 star every time I go out there. You should have me as the champion. No, it doesn't work that way. I can see both sides of the story here from Gresham and Tony Khan for the most part. Jonathan Gresham, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of his work, but I don't feel like he's as main event caliber as some of these other guys that you see between AEW and Ring of Honor. So I kind of understand why Tony Khan wasn't pushing him maybe as much as Gresham felt like he should be.
Right.
So that's my take on that. Now, another topic we brought up was AEW-wise was MJF earlier. I honestly don't know anymore whether I believe the whole thing is a shoot or work, or maybe MJF's actually out with an injury right now, and that was a way of writing him off of TV for it without telling people. But like I was saying, it doesn't seem like he's missed that much. You don't hear talk about him at all. You don't hear the crowd chanting for MJF at all during AEW shows. He almost feels like an afterthought at this point.
But could you imagine if when they bring Rollins' opponent out and that music hits and it's MJF? Could you imagine the pop?
It'd probably be a pretty big pop, but I just
It's not
don't think
happen, but
no, his contract with AEW is technically through 2024. So, not to say you can't get out of a contract. But
oh, so you're saying we got a better chance to get a Moxley back because his contract will end first?
Maybe.
I'm okay with that. We can bring some Dean Ambrose back.
Right? I mean, they'd have to book it better than what Vince did towards the end of his stay, other than Shield-wise. But
I mean, if it wasn't for Triple H, we wouldn't have ever had the Shield.
Yeah. Oh. I've heard a lot of rumors. I heard a lot of speculations that there's multiple superstars who have gone over to AEW that would have stuck around WWE had Triple H been in charge of creative a lot sooner than what he is now instead of Vince. So,
right.
You never know who could pop up potentially.
The big
between
guy.
now and who knows.
The return of Ryback.
Yeah, sure.
It could happen.
You never know. I mean, we never thought you'd see CM Punk in wrestling again, and that happened a year ago. So Not
You never
necessarily
thought
in the
Edge would come
promotion.
back, and Edge came back 2 years ago.
True. That's why I say anything is possible. Anything could happen.
Cue the screaming bird. Oh wait, Paige can't come back.
No, I don't think she's coming back anytime soon.
At least not with WWE.
Right.
I think she'll wrestle again. I just don't think it's going to be with a major company.
Yeah.
I think about as major as it would get, possibly be Impact.
From what I've heard, it sounds like a certain individual in AEW has been calling out a couple of people that haven't wrestled in a long time. So, one being under a WWE contract in Bayley, and another being Paige, but that being, of course, the Doctor herself.
You mean the one that makes Adam Rose a bitch?
But it'll be interesting to see what all goes down. I could see a lot of people potentially at the end of their contracts with AEW possibly jumping ship back over to WWE now with everything changing, but you never know. I've heard also yesterday that AEW is putting more length on contracts for superstars who are out injured as well, just like WWE's been doing. So some of those contracts might be getting lengthened as well. Looking at Adam Cole, of course, being out with an injury. Bryan Danielson was recently out with an injury. So.
Oh, you mean WWE superstars?
Yeah.
Big wins and get injured. Who would have known?
All right. But
Samoa Joe. Oh, look at that. You win your first match. Oh, you're injured. Let's extend your contract another 15 months.
Yeah. So much like WWE, whether they want to admit it or not. It's not even funny. But it is what it is, I guess. All right. Well, to check one last time. He always tells me.
Who I can't wait to see make a return?
Who?
Rick Boogs.
Aha, yeah. That'll probably be a little while still, I think, though.
Thinking Royal Rumble.
Maybe. I think there's going to be a bigger return at the Royal Rumble, though.
Oh, you mean Cody?
Yeah. The guy who I figure will win the Royal Rumble match. But we'll see.
Oh, or are we talking something more like, I don't know. I don't want to try and say it because I can't do the same energy. But I think you know where I'm going with this.
I mean, there is a rumor that somebody else could come back from Hollywood and win the Royal Rumble too, and then main event WrestleMania. So,
you know, I thought I smelled something cooking.
Right? I'm hoping. Okay, so I'm going to put this out there. I would love to see The Rock return and be at WrestleMania. Do I want to see The Rock versus Roman for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship? Hell no. There's no need for the title to be on line. There's no reason for Roman Reigns to hold the title up until WrestleMania. He's been champion long enough. Either lose it tonight, one way, shape, or form, or lose it at Clash at the Castle to Drew McIntyre, which would be perfectly fine by me. I'd love to see Drew walk out as champion.
Are they ever going to split the titles back up in your mind?
That is a great question. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I would personally love to if they're going to keep the brand exclusive, but I just feel like the only title that really needs to be unified or undisputed is the tag team titles. I still feel like there wasn't enough tag teams to justify having a Raw tag team title and a SmackDown tag team title.
I mean, because you were getting the same championship match for like 5 months straight.
I know, right? Whereas you got plenty of, I say they got plenty of big name superstars that can compete for the WWE title and plenty that can compete for the Universal, but you do but you don't, if you get what I mean. I mean, with the injuries, on the Raw side, you technically could put Bobby Lashley still in WWE Championship picture. You got Cody's out with an injury, who would be in it otherwise. There's
Seth,
a lot of guys.
Rollins.
Exactly. AJ Styles. I mean, he
Randy
should be in
Orton
the
if he
WWE
wasn't
title
injured.
right?
I mean, I don't
So
know
there's
if
a
you
lot
can
of
put
guys kind of
Riddle in
lost.
that category. He's like right
Yeah.
on the cusp.
Now the flip side to that though is Universal title wise on SmackDown right now. You got Drew, you got Sheamus. Those are the
You're
two
gonna
biggest
give
names.
Sheamus that much credit?
I will. Because Sheamus technically could be a threat still for the A championship.
So what brand is Miz on again?
He's on Raw.
Oh, no wonder.
But that's the problem though, was once they did the draft last year, Raw was so main event star heavy, whereas SmackDown kind of got the shaft. So I feel like if they're gonna
SmackDown usually gets the shaft.
Yes and no. The year before, I felt like it was more even between the two brands. But, I mean, you had Finn Balor that was on SmackDown. You had Miz over on Raw. You had a lot of guys that could have been main event stars really on SmackDown before the draft last year.
Dolph Ziggler.
Hey,
See, this is what's
you
going to
never know
happen.
what can happen with him.
So
But
he's
he's
got
on
that
Raw.
little mini feud going on with Theory.
Yeah, he does.
Could you imagine if Theory wins, gets the title, retains against Drew? Could we see a multiple, challenge where it's Theory versus Ziggler for the title?
Could. You could.
So how's Survivor Series going to work this year then?
I have no clue. That's a very good question. It's something I've had conversations with people about. You can't do really champion versus champion for the tag team titles or for the heavyweight title right now. So
unless you do where, so technically Roman and the Usos are SmackDown.
Yes.
Unless you have a challenger from Raw for the title and a tag team challenger, and then just do like a 6-man tag with both titles on the line.
I guess you could do something like that. Or even just pick a Raw tag team to face the SmackDown tag team champions, the Usos, and Raw Superstar versus Roman for the undisputed title. But
so if you had to call it right now at WrestleMania, what would be the match for the undisputed heavyweight championship?
I have to say, I want it to be Cody versus Seth. That would be my pick. Cody Rhodes picking up the win over Seth Rollins, going 4-0 and walking out with the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Between now and then, of course, we'd have to see Seth win the title from hopefully Drew at some point. But
Theory.
No Theory. I'm sorry. I love Theory.
Like I said, who would get the title if you give it to Theory? You never know. Once music hits, it could be Rey Mysterio as the heavyweight champion for one last run.
Right.
Main event: Rey Mysterio versus Edge.
Yeah.
Be a good match.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, Cody has to be in it.
Yeah.
100%.
As long as he's cleared and he's back in time for WrestleMania, I feel like Cody's got to be in the title picture at WrestleMania.
Well, he's gonna make his return to the Rumble. He's gonna win the Rumble. He might not be on a bunch of shows right after, but at Mania, whoever has the title's giving it to Cody.
It's the way it should be. We'll see if that's the way that booking goes down, but
probably not.
But I still feel like no matter what, if Rock comes back for WrestleMania, I mean, there's still reports that his schedule is completely clear that month or couple months leading into WrestleMania. If The Rock faces Roman,
it's going to be once it hits Royal Rumble time, all of a sudden there's not going to be clear anymore.
Yeah. But my point is, I feel like if we get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania, hopefully not for the title, that will be the main event, no matter whether it's for the title or not, of WrestleMania Night 2. Of course, there was also big news this past week about WrestleMania 2024 as well, as the location has been chosen in Philadelphia for WrestleMania in 2024. Also a 2-night event, they announced. So WrestleMania will be staying at 2 nights for the next 2 years anyway.
Hollywood and Philly.
Yep. Hollywood in 2023, Philly in 2024. And there's already people clamoring that for WrestleMania 2024 that Paul Heyman needs to go into the Hall of Fame since it's in Philly.
With it being in Philly, how many ECW legends are going to be up for Hall of Fame? I mean,
That's a
Heyman
good question.
right there.
Yep. Tommy Dreamer, maybe?
Be about damn time.
Right?
He really belongs there. Could you imagine like them doing like, I get that it's not really a tag team, but the ECW originals. Inducting like Dreamer, Sabu, and Sandman.
There you go. I can see it.
I mean, not that Sandman should go in.
Right?
The other two I can see going in, but
yeah. I mean, you could even do a Raven Hall of Fame induction in Philly.
He had a lot to do. It's nothing.
Hey, when you're talking ECW, he did a lot of things in ECW.
Right. But he's always known for that darn promo. But Raven gets nothing. Why nothing?
Right? Raven in the flock.
Him and Al Snow had some great matches.
Yeah. We'll see. You could also see the Eliminators get inducted in the Hall of Fame that year. You never know. Perry Saturn, John Cronus. They were a huge tag team in ECW.
Does Dean Malenko in it yet?
Hey, he could possibly go in there. You never know.
Because, I mean, when the Radicals came to the WWE, it was Saturn, Benoit, Eddie, and Malenko.
Yep, it was.
So couldn't you do somehow put the new Radicals in, but without Benoit?
I don't feel like they would, because they didn't make that big of an impact.
Right.
And because of Chris would be tied to it if they put the Radicals in.
So much just put Demolition in.
That would be surprising if they did that. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about Demolition, because Demolition was a great tag team in WWE or WWF at the time, back in those days. But just seems like for some reason they don't want to put them in the Hall of Fame.
Well, then let's go with some more wild card teams. How about the Headbangers?
Former tag team champions a few times, so hey, why not?
Right. Or Too Cool.
Yeah. I mean, Rikishi's in there already.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rikishi should be in there. I mean, what do we want to call him? Rikishi? Do we want to call him Fatu? Do we want to call him the Sultan?
I know, right? He had plenty of gimmicks.
Did you watch Young Rock at all?
I seen the first season. I didn't catch any of the second season.
The second season has the infamous Stone Cold speech.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the guy they have played, I'm not gonna call him Triple H because back then he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley. It's a spot on. Like, I mean, it looks the exact same.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
You even see Mantar.
Nice. Hey, it's a blast from the past.
Oh yeah.
Many younger people probably don't even know who that is, but hey.
Right.
All right. But anyway, I think that's pretty much about it. Any other topics to bring up from wrestling wise?
Not
I
that I
don't
can
think so. I
think
think we
of.
pretty much touched them all the big ones
Yeah.
anyway. So again, SummerSlam kickoff show starts in about 20 minutes. For some reason, they haven't been doing matches on the kickoff shows. I don't know why the last few months, but hey, there's another name that was thrown out there. Carmelo Hayes could potentially make his main roster debut and be Seth Rollins' opponent tonight too. But I don't think that'll happen. But
I
it would
don't
be
think
interesting.
so.
The North American champion versus Seth freaking Rollins. Yeah.
Why doesn't Braun Breaker just show
Right? He's a future world champion probably himself. So the way things are
up? I'm
going
really
with him.
glad the Steiners went in though.
Me too. I'm glad Scott didn't go off script too much.
Right.
He could have very easily. I'm surprised he was as calm as he was, to be honest. No.
That's not the Scott Steiner I remember.
Right? But he did most of the talking, which wasn't too surprising because Rick never was a huge talker.
Right.
All right. Go blue.
So then Braun is Rick's kid?
Ron is Rick's kid, yep. I mean, he looks more like Scott, but he's Rick's.
Yeah.
He's built more like his Uncle Scott.
He acts more like his Uncle Scott.
That's true. Very true. I've always said he reminds me more of his Uncle Scott than the dog-faced gremlin, so. All right. Well, this would be the part where I ask if you had anything to plug, but I know you don't really have much to plug. Busted Boy would if he was here, but he no-showed tonight, so.
What a loser.
I know, right? But anyway, my only plug, well, might be back on here for Clash at the Castle prediction show. That show, I gotta look here. Cancel that for a minute. Yeah, I know I didn't share. Oh, I haven't checked the comment section in a while. I think it's been
Still
empty,
nothing.
though. Yeah, that's what I figured. All right. But Clash at the Castle is Saturday, September the 3rd. So maybe earlier in the day that day, we'll be on here again for the next prediction show, since I've decided to move away from the Anchor podcast because nobody seemed to listen to that at all. Hardly anybody. I think I got... Let me check. Whoops, wrong button. I had one listen for the NXT In Your House prediction show, and only 8 plays for the Hell in a Cell prediction show on there. So
Oh, that was some of our best work.
I know, right? So that's why I've gone from that to this, because this eventually gets usually 20 to 30, if not more, views. So it makes more sense to just keep the YouTube channel going and do the prediction shows here.
Woo woo.
So we'll be doing that. Plus, you guys get to see our faces, and that's anything that matters. But you get to see the pictures for the matches as well on here. So makes it a little more visual. But other than that, thanks, John, for being on. Expecting
No
fun
problem.
summer.
Oh yeah.
And we'll catch you guys next time. Get back here.